if you lead with relationship, not sales. I know that when people network, the goal is to create a business. But if you realize that the relationship will lead to the business, you can leave the sales behind.
Yeah.
I think that's what I do on my social media. I ask questions. I want to get to know you. I'll look at your pictures and say, "Oh, how's your baby?" And it's genuine. I'm curious. In my social media, there tends to be a lot of engagement and interaction because I feel like it's a community right there.
Yeah.
And then if I put stuff about my business, whether it's the book or weight loss photos, there's interest. I run into people and they say, "Oh, I see your photos, your before and afters, how do I work with you?"
Yeah.
And I also have a mix of out of town and local, which is fun too.
All right, welcome back to the She Inspires podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Jade, board certified family medicine physician, wellness and weight loss specialist, owner of the membership medical practice Inspire Primary Care in Las Vegas. And I'm so excited about today's episode of the She Inspires podcast. We have a very special guest, one of my good friends who is doing some amazing things. And I couldn't wait to get her on the podcast to share the journey of becoming a best-selling author. So not only just starting a business, a very successful business, and we'll talk about her journey of doing that, but then transitioning into being a best-selling author. That's the topic today, becoming a best-selling author. Welcome to the podcast, my good friend, Sue Rodriguez, also known as my coach, Sue.
Yes. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here with you.
I am as well. So let's jump right into it. Share with the She Inspires family who you are and what you do.
My name is Sue Rodriguez. I'm a health coach. I've been a health coach for about 15 years. I started out as an educator here in Clark County and had a health transformation. And, once you have a transformation, you want to share it with the world. And that's what happened. Started sharing it right here in Las Vegas.
I love that. And we're going to talk about your health transformation. You and I are obsessed with health and wellness, all things health and wellness. We could talk all day, but we'll keep it in the podcast. But I'm just so excited about your book, Healing Naturally, a Lifestyle Approach, 6 Habits to Solve Digestive Issues and Thrive. So tell us about the journey of that. What started with a career in education to growing a multiple 6-figure business? Correct me if it's 7 now, but growing a multiple 6-figure business and then transitioning into being a best-selling author. Walk us through that journey.
So first, like I said, I got myself healthy, started getting other people healthy, mostly in the weight loss area. So that's all thriving. I'm helping a lot of people, and I started to have some issues. I thought it was a heart attack because I was having pain in my chest. Long story short, it was a 10-year journey of going to insurance-based practitioners who couldn't figure it out.
Right.
I had to take my own journey. I joke that I got my medical degree on Google.
Yes, Dr. Google, Google MD.
And, and through that, I found out what I thought I had. Some digestive issues were low and enzymes were low. Went to a doctor, they tested me. Lo and behold, after 10 years, it was a gallbladder issue. So I think one of the reasons why I had the issue for so long was because I was so healthy. The concepts in the second half of this book are all habits that you can procure daily to improve your health.
Yep.
And that's really the message of the book too, is I want people to be empowered to take control of their health, because in most medical practices, obviously not yours, because you work on the preventative, you work on empowering patients, but they're not getting that in the other part of the world, you know?
Absolutely.
So it's how they can help themselves and use their voice, because a lot of other healthcare providers they're not listening. They have to go by a list of what insurance will allow, and preventative things are, as you know, are not on that list.
Right.
So it's now I'm just about empowering people through tiny habits, mini changes. You don't drink any water, can you drink 8 ounces? You don't sleep more than 4 hours, can you go 4.5? And just incrementally, because I also want people to feel joy along the way and not be berated for what they've done wrong.
Absolutely. And that's where we connect so much, is on that health, wellness, preventative approach to health and wellness and medicine in my case. But a big part of what your book talks about is the quote unquote small habits. But I try to explain to my members, like, they sound small. Drinking more water and you're not drinking a lot of water sounds small, but I try to encourage people that it's the small, quote unquote, small things over a long period of time that make a huge difference. And so often we're trying to make these huge changes right away because we want fast results. We live in this fast food microwave world. And I'm like, but that's what's not sustainable. And that's why you'll gain it right back.
It's sustainability. I call it like the boot camp mentality.
Yeah.
You know, you could do anything for a month,
Yeah.
but you want to do it long term. And I think the key to that sustainability is celebrating success.
Yeah.
Celebrating that you went from, you know, let's say you're a smoker and you want to quit and you've gone from 2 packs to 1 pack. It may not seem like a big deal to other people, but you just improved your health.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, do we want you smoking? No. But you're incrementally getting there. And, you know, you have 1 glass of water, you have 2, maybe your digestive system starts working better. You see the wins. There's so many wins.
Yes.
You know, again, in my field, which has been mostly weight loss, not just on the scale. I call them non-scale victories. Do you have more energy? Can you bend over and not be winded? You know, there's so many things.
Absolutely.
And celebrating them along the way is the biggest one, I think, because mostly we have these not even limiting beliefs. We have like self-deprecation.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, I ate that cookie again. You know, okay, I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
what will we do different next time? Or good that you only had 1 cookie and not a whole sleeve.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. And a big thing I try to also share is, well, let's eliminate all the things you can't do. Because a lot of times I'll hear a whole list. Well, I have the kids and I have this and I have work and I have a lot of travel, or my knees hurt or my back hurts. So once I lose some weight, then maybe I'll be able to. And I'm like, okay, I get all the things we can't do, but what can we do?
Right.
Like, what can we do? I had a patient yesterday where I was like, okay, you can't run and do CrossFit like you used to do. What can you do that actually sounds enjoyable? And he's like, well, I could walk around my block. Okay, could you do it at least once over the next week since you haven't done any over the last month? Okay, I'll commit to doing 1 walk around my block.
And not
this
only
week.
is that beneficial for them,
Yeah.
but it's creating the space for more.
Exactly.
I have a story in the book about a client who wanted to, she was, you know, CEO, entrepreneur, kids, the whole thing,
Yeah.
and was stressed out. So we talked about meditation, which is you know, it's a scary thing for people. They don't know what it is and all the things. I said, could you sit in a chair? This is going to sound crazy.
Yeah.
Can you sit in a chair for 1 minute, set a timer on your phone, eyes closed for 1 minute?
Yeah.
And she said yes, and she did that. And then if you do 5 minutes, great, but it's a win if you do 1.
Exactly.
And you know they're going to enjoy that time. Because it's the only time they get to power down, so they get to feel
Absolutely.
it. But 1 minute, important. 1 short walk, important.
Absolutely. And I always like to say, because I do personalized wellness plans, you know this, we talk about this all the time in our practice with our Inspired Health Wellness visits. I say, at least, right? So people will say, well, let's do 5 exercises this week. And I'm like, okay, well, how many have we done over the last month? And they'll say, well, none. I'm like, okay, well, what's the least amount that you could do? And they're like, well, I could do at least 1. I say, okay, well, let's write that down, at least 1, because then everything after that is extra credit. And so I love that. Like,
They are so lucky to have you because you're an MD with a coaching background. Like you're everything for them. That
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm thankful, but it started with my own health transformation too, right? It started with gaining 60 pounds with pregnancy and then having lower back pain and acid reflux and being on medication for it and being like, okay, this does not feel good on my frame. We're not keeping this. Transitioning 60 pounds down and being like, okay, now my dad is pre-diabetic. Well, let's reverse it for you. All right, now my cousin has hypertension. If you just follow what I'm saying, we can reverse that too. And then doing it for our patients and now, you know, other platforms. So it's really, it does start with ourselves. I mean, who wants to go to a coach that's not coachable? Who wants to go to a doctor who isn't taking care of their own health and wellness? And we do it. But I think we see the most effect and the most impact and transformation when we really start with ourselves and utilizing it. So you have this business that is so successful and transforming lives. You've shown so many before and afters on your Facebook. It's amazing. What happens where you're like, it's time to write a book? And what is the process? Because those listening may be like, I have something that I know is transformative as well, and I want to write a book, but I just don't know how.
Part of it is my own self-care. I don't want to work every day.
Yeah. Yes.
So the book is me leaving a legacy. I feel like, for $20, they can get a coach.
Yes.
And this book will help them install habits. So it's a legacy for me. So that's why I wrote it. And writing it is just like everything else we've been talking about. It's one tiny habit. So what did I do? I put time to write on my calendar every day. And 70 to 80% of the time I did it.
Okay.
So there were I went a few weeks without writing at all, but I have time at night, and I wrote for about a half an hour. Sometimes I'd go by, I'll do 500 words tonight, or just incremental behavior. And it's the same thing what we're talking about. Me writing a half an hour one night is not much,
right?
But doing it over about a year, a book came out of it.
Wow. And that is so interesting, where I am going to just confess on the podcast that I have been sitting on a book that God has given me to write, and I have literally been doing all the things I just said that others do when it comes to health and wellness. With this, I'm like, I'm not a good writer. Writing feels like punishment because I hated classes in college where you have to type essays. I don't want to do that. I've literally said all the things that I can't do. And it's literally just, can you set a 30-minute timer and just type? You know?
And we've talked about it too. One of the things that I found so easy to do the writing is I made an outline.
Yeah.
And so I could go to, the 10th item, and if I'm in the mood, sometimes I look at the order, I'm like, I'm not in the mood for that. So I'd skip down here.
I love that. And because the type A version of me likes to go in order, like if I have and that is a part of it. Like I may not be in the mood for chapter 1. Right. And so hearing you share that tip, this may help someone else too, of saying sometimes I start with chapter 10 and I'd write that.
It's a course in personal development because you learn a lot about yourself.
Yeah.
When I said, Sue, no, you can't watch TV tonight, you've got to do the book. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm the boss.
Yeah.
I don't have to do anything.
Yeah, or having the strict timeline where it's like, I want my book out by June, And it's like, okay, I love that. So what led to the best-selling author component? What would you say led to that? Because when you hear someone say, I am a best-selling author, or I released my book and it was on this top 10 list or top whatever list, that sounds daunting, and that sounds like, only certain people can do that, but it's been really inspiring for me to see that journey for you. So share some of that.
I will say it in one phrase, Red Thread Publishing Company.
Okay.
It is a woman-owned, woman-based publishing company, and it's a community, just like you have here. And there's more success in a community.
Yeah.
And so they all rally around, and when somebody has a book, they'll buy the ebook, or they'll share it on their social media. So it's a literary community.
I love it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of collaboration behind the scenes as well. That's good, and that's good for people to hear and know that you don't have to be in it alone, and maybe you perhaps shouldn't be.
Yes.
And there are communities available.
Definitely connect. It's just like your patients come to you and connect for their health. If you're writing, connect. I had a book coach, and then once the book was written, went to a publisher for help for editing, help for graphic design.
Okay.
The book did not look like this. The book had my favorite tree, which only means something to me.
Right.
So we have professionals helping me every step of the way.
Yeah,
so.
And I really love your book. First of all, the color yellow just represents you to me because you're just a warm person, a sunny person. And then the pathway just shows that we're on a pathway of transformation. So it just clicked and made so much sense. So that's interesting to know that it started off as a tree, which could also make a lot of sense, but this is very visually appealing. So thank you for sharing that journey. So I want to shift a bit and talk about your process of building your business. How did that look? Because some may not know that you've definitely been, and maybe you don't know, I don't know, maybe you do, but you've been a mentor on my business journey, and you've been someone who just kind of early in my business took me under your wing, and I learned so much about networking from you. I learned so much about how to care for others from just observing you. The She Inspires fam knows I like to observe people, and I've been a sponge and taken in some of your amazing qualities, or tried to. And so tell me about how you built your business and some tips you may have to women who are trying to build a successful
Sure.
business and connect
Well,
with
first of all,
others.
thank you. It's an honor and joy. I love being with you. And if I impart wisdom on you, great. It's definitely a two-way street. Um, Networking. So I went into business. I was an educator, and then I had a side gig.
Yeah.
And then I finally, when I was making more in my side gig, then I gave it up. I gave the day job up, and I started networking. And I thought, oh, how can I don't know anything about business. How am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And then I realized, and again, personal development, like, your own worth. I didn't think I knew anything about business, but all business is relationships. It's all being social.
Yeah.
So I just asked a lot of questions, and I asked personal questions, but as you know, I've asked a lot of questions about your practice. Because I don't know anything about all these different businesses. Now I do, just by asking questions.
Right, absolutely. And when it comes to networking, to me, you look so natural networking, and maybe it wasn't always like that, or maybe it always was. But what has that journey looked like? Because when I see you in a room, it's just like, there she goes. She's everybody knows they need to connect with Sue. It's just very natural. And I think you're seasoned in this season, right? But what has that journey of networking looked like?
I'm going to backtrack to when I was 6 years old.
Okay.
And I was shy.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hard to believe. And then as I grew older, I realized when I was nervous talking to people, if I started asking them about their life, I got relaxed.
Yes.
Because now the spotlight's on you. I don't have to talk. I don't have to, I'm asking you.
I could relate to that.
Yeah. And it's relaxing. And then I really just get intrigued by the other person, and I just ask. It's back to questions. I just ask one question after one question, because kind of anyone I meet, I feel a friendship with, and I want to deepen the friendship. And how do you do that? By getting to know them better.
Yeah.
So it's I don't feel the nerves anymore, but because my go-to is question asking.
Yeah. And that helped me. I shared about this in one of our episodes on networking for introverts, really shifting the mindset from thinking of networking as small talk with strangers as to relationships, because I love the quality relationships and getting to know someone else and what their level of expertise is. And so that's super helpful. Let's talk about social media, because I think that also plays a part in the connections you've made in growing your businesses, in your book's success. Even if they weren't a part of your publishers community, your social media community has also been following your journey, and I imagine supporting the book as well. So tell me how you've utilized social media in growing your business and with launching your book.
We've had hour-long conversations on this, so to make it quick, it's the same exact thing as in person. If you lead with relationship, not sales. I know that when people network, the goal is to create a business.
Yeah.
But if you realize that the relationship will lead to the business, you can leave the sales behind.
Yes.
And I think that's what I do on my social media. I ask questions. I want to get to know you. I'll look at your pictures and say, "Oh, how's your baby?" And it's genuine. I'm curious.
Yeah.
So I in my social media, there tends to be a lot of engagement and interaction, because I feel like it's a community right there.
Yeah.
And then if I put stuff about my business, whether it's the book or weight loss photos, there's interest. I run into people and they say, "Oh, I see your photos, your before and afters. How do I work with you?"
Yeah.
And it's. I also have a mix of out of town and local, which is fun too.
Yeah, that's helpful. I've learned a lot about the power of just being more curious about others and genuinely connecting with others. I didn't realize, and we've talked about this, but we'll share it on the podcast. When I first started really utilizing social media for my business, people would comment, and I wouldn't necessarily comment back, because I just thought in my mind, oh, well, they're commenting, but it's not to me. It's just, they're just saying what they want to say on the page, right? And then you messaged me, and this is what I love about your mentorship, in just such a gentle and coachable way, right? And you were just I just want to encourage you. You're doing a great job, but I just want to encourage you to comment back and to, let people know that you saw it, and to just comment back. And, it's a big deal for someone to take the time out to put a comment, not just hit the like or not just keep scrolling, but to leave a comment. And then I said, oh, I had no idea people actually wanted you to leave a comment, like to comment back. And for whatever reason, that hadn't clicked before you said it. And I was like, I guess that does feel rude, right? And so now I do try to make an effort. Now, y'all, if you've been on all my different YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and I haven't gotten to your message, just know that I am trying
She
to.
She will
I
get
will.
to it.
I'm trying to keep up. But now I see the value in that. And I think that all goes back to the connections and the networking and the collaborations. And it
social.
feeds back.
It's social media.
Social media.
So
Yes.
it's the same thing. If someone came up to you and liked your outfit,
Yeah.
would you just turn and walk
Yeah, I'm not going to
away?
just be like.
Right. It's the same thing. It's people are looking for interaction, and
Right.
they like what you're putting out there. So it's like
Right.
it's such a compliment.
Right. It's really helped with reshaping the mindset around the social aspect of social media. And so tapping into some of the health and wellness, because we could talk all things health and wellness all day, but one area of your book that I didn't really know was going to be a key focal point of your book until it came out was that it's about digestive health in particular and gut health. And I wanted to know more about why you focused your health and wellness, because the health and wellness could have been like 6 habits for weight loss, right? But it was specifically 6 habits to solve digestive issues and thrive. So what led to the gut health focus? Because that's such an area so many people are struggling with.
And I could have left that out. I could have just had Healing Naturally, a lifestyle approach. The reason why I have the digestion focus is because you can throw a stone and hit 24 people that say, oh, me too.
Yeah.
I have this and nobody knows what it is, or I have this and they don't know what that. So I wanted to give hope to people. It's not so much a book about, digestive enzymes or recipes or things to actually solve the specific digestive issue. It's more about how you can partner with, and I really mention you without mentioning your name in here.
Oh, wow.
How you can partner with a healthcare provider to work together.
Yeah.
And then the second half of the book is just like, even if you have these digestive issues, let's get the rest of you healthy.
Yeah.
So that, we only have one thing to work on and not a million. Because like you, I started popping the Tums and the antacids, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm a health coach.
Yeah.
This is 10 years into my health coaching business, and I'm like, this can't be me. I can't have these issues. And, so it's that focus, because I want the people with digestive issues to pick up the book.
Yeah.
Anybody can pick up this book and improve their health, but I know how frustrating it is to be in pain.
Absolutely.
And have no answers to what is causing your pain.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there aren't a lot of great remedies from the medical aspect. So much of it is, what are we putting in our bodies? What is your genetic predisposition? And then, so many of the treatments are Band-Aids.
Yep.
But if we're not getting to the root cause,
Yep.
that's an issue. Of course, we want to do the medical screening, right? And, do your blood work. And if you need to CGI and do the colonoscopy and the endoscopy or any of that, of course, we want to make sure there's no active disease process developing.
The cool thing about partnering with a doctor is they can see your insides.
Right.
And know and give you some information that you can't get on your own.
Right.
But
But what you have in your book on, here's the component that is within our control.
Right.
And are we utilizing the tools in an approachable, sustainable way from the part that is within your control? And then partner with your physician and make sure it's a wellness-focused physician that has time for you, right? If you're in Las Vegas, that's Inspire Primary Care. But, partner with a physician. But I also love that you're talking about advocating. And a lot of times people are like, but I don't know what to ask a doctor. I don't know how to advocate for myself. I know how to Google, but I don't know the right questions or the right things to say within, if you're in an insurance-based office, within that 8 minutes that the doctor can be in the room. I don't know what things to say that's actually going to lead to a change or the right diagnostic workup, right? And so I love that the advocacy components, in addition to an approach, is all built within your book.
We have to listen to ourselves and not doubt. If I feel something repeatedly, let's not sweep that under the rug. Let's pay attention. Let's get in tune with who we are and what our bodies do.
Absolutely. I love it. I love all that you do. This is a question we like to ask all of our She Inspires podcast guests. How have you been? Well, before I pose this question, let me just say, you are a wife, you are a mom, you are a grandma, you are a business owner and an author now. So the question is, how are you balancing business and wellness?
I would first like to throw the word balance out.
Okay. Okay.
I think that balance is one of those words that we use as a goal or a medal,
Yes.
that we strive for, and so we get frustrated. I like to think like, have you ever been so busy like you didn't shower maybe a day or maybe 2 days or maybe even 3 days, but you're not going to go 4 days without a shower. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like you're going to take care of it. So if you miss a day doing, let's say, your workout, or I didn't drink enough water this day, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think it's the okayness that my balance is about.
I love
so
that.
if I don't see, the grandkids for a week, or maybe I don't go to the gym for a week, I know I'm going to get back to it. And it's the okayness. It's, not so much the we are enough, although that's important too, but being okay with I know what I'm doing. Every move I make is something that's good. You are a queen about routine and habits, and praying in the morning and exercising before this and all the things you do. So if you don't get to something, there's a good reason for it. And I think we just need to be okay with that.
I love that. I love that answer. And I often talk about balance, and I put in, I like to use Canva for my graphics, and I was doing a talk recently on balancing business and wellness. And when I put in balance, all these different graphics came up. And of course, it was like the traditional one where there's the two things on each side. But then there was this one picture that popped up that showed all these different branches, basically, from this one thing. And it was like, I was like, now that's balance. Like, you have all of these things, and they're just each kind of in a position that they are meant to be in that moment or in that season, and they're consistently being adjusted, but being okay, being okay with it.
It's an unrealistic expectation to have all those branches met every moment of every day.
Exactly. And I love, like, even with my husband, Carlos, he's very good at letting me know, like, okay, the balance of work is seeping a little bit into the family life. And then I'm able to adjust that. And, and so it's that constant adjusting and being okay with it. I love that. I think that's really genius in being okay with each component. Now, the flip side of that is like, oh, well, I've been chugging back hamburgers and I've gained 50 pounds, and you know what, I'm gonna be okay. No, it's like, okay, so we wanna, but you're doing our best.
But you have feedback, like the feedback you got from Carlos about time.
Yes.
The feedback if you were eating those burgers every day that you'd get from your body and your gut. So feedback's important too in there. But I think that balance, a lot of people worry about it. It's the high achievers. It's the good people that want to get everything done, and just I don't think you really can. Yeah. Look at me. I'm like headed toward retirement just so I can have more self-care in a day.
Yes. And launching and becoming a best-selling author all in the same time. I love that, being okay with it, and also listening to the feedback. So where can the She Inspires fam find you on socials? How can they stay connected? Where can they find Healing Naturally?
Right next to you on Instagram. That's the best way. Instagram will have the book link. It'll have my website. It connects to Facebook. Those are the two socials that I'm mostly active on.
And your Instagram handle?
My Coach Sue.
All right. So My Coach Sue on Instagram is the place. And then her link in bio has all the things you need to get connected. The book is available on Amazon. What platforms is the book available on?
Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And Barnes & Noble. So please check out the book, Healing Naturally, A Lifestyle Approach, 6 Habits to Solve Digestive Issues and Thrive. Stay connected with Coach Sue at My Coach Sue. And of course, if you are new to the She Inspires fam, join us on our YouTube family at Dr. Jade MD. Stay connected. Join us on our Instagram family at Dr. Jade MD. If you are a busy professional woman and you have a business or service that would benefit other women, definitely reach out. Our podcast now is open to sponsorships. So if you have a service you'd like us to share with other busy professional women, we'd love to get the word out for you. And join us on the next episode of the She Inspires podcast.